experts, and we have no doubt today's session would be enriching and at the same time a good learning experience for each and every one of us. To start things, we would have the inaugural session. I request Mr. V. N. Shivshankar, President, Vice President, Southern India Chamber of Commerce, to kindly join us on the dais, please. Mr. Gopi Kodishwaran, the Chair for SICKI's Entrepreneurship, Innovation and Startups Committee, to also join us.
Mr. A.R. Arun, President SICKI, will be joining us virtually. Mr. Gopi Kodishwaran, Chair, SICKI Startup Committee. Mr. M.V. Subramaniam, Chair, SICKI Technology Committee. Other respected panel speakers, members and friends. It's my pleasure to welcome all of you today. We are running a bit late, so just permit me to say a few words about SICKI before we start the session formally. We are more than 111 years old. And always a debate goes on as to what is the relevance of Chamber of Commerce today, with so much of social media, advent, etc. But still, it's a bridge. It was historically a bridge between the industry and the government, where there was no formal means of communication. Today that has changed. There are several means. E-governance has caught up. So questions are being raised as to when the government can directly receive comments and responses from stakeholders. What is the role of a Chamber of Commerce? But it still fulfills a very important need. Conducting sessions, broadening the knowledge, exploring things deeper and giving suggestions which even the government will not want to source. All this can be done only by Chambers of Commerce, and taking up causes which the industry feels is a rightful cause is something which only a Chamber of Commerce can do. SICKI has been fortunate to have a very well run secretariat and very effective committees. We have a very broad based committee including on aerospace and defense, technology, infrastructure, food and nutrition, retail. So we have hosted a number of sessions in the recent past. The Yadu Mure, which was connecting the Tamil diaspora across the world, was held in the peak of the pandemic and was a great success. It was attended by over 4,000 participants from 38 countries, and it really positioned SICKI firmly as one of the leading chambers of commerce in the South. We have also tied up with Chennai Corporation, Anna University for setting up a FinTech Center of Excellence, the Chennai Metro Rail to set up a readers lounge, which we hope to set it up in the Chennai Central Metro station shortly, and the Industries Department to set up a EV Center of Excellence. We are fortunate to have a lot of expertise from our constituents, which enables us to make all this. Industry 4.0, I'm sure you will listen to a lot of experts say, today it's now completely changed. The way we were 20 years back to the way we were last decade, and pandemic changed it completely. Pandemic forced us to, some companies were recent interview from the Unilever CEO said how they were focusing on supply chain to make sure none of their supply chain broke. It was really a lesson in management as to how they handled that crisis. Some were contented to keeping the operations running in the wake of shortages of workers and shortages of raw materials. Others significantly improved their demand due to the sudden spike in the demand. The fourth industrial revolution technologies have emerged as a key driver of resilient supply chains, and companies which have adopted them successfully have been able to chart out new courses. Some lessons which we can all learn is that the future of manufacturing is all about technology, Internet of Things, big data, etc. Workers' capabilities is going to be improved, skills are going to improve. This will lead to overall improved manufacturing base, which will lead to an overall growth. And sharing and collaboration between companies and in both in terms of raw materials and finished products is needed for the entire system to move towards a continuous adaptation. So I take this opportunity to encourage industry members here today to give priority for technology development and innovation. We have very eminent speakers here through the 4.0 framework. Again, thank you all for joining us today and look forward to seeing all. Thank you.
We always look at technology, artificial intelligence and the newer technologies and new areas, but we all know there's a void in manufacturing globally, right? And we are the right people from India to really step up and capture that market. But it is challenging. There are a lot of challenges. And today we've put together a set of speakers representing a large company, a small company, a professor from the technology space, AI space, and also an investor in the Industry 4.0 framework. We're going to have deep discussions on this, but the opportunities are huge, and we have some exciting things that we could do which would leapfrog us into this space. And I'm super excited about it. Yesterday, the first 5G call was taken in the IIT Madras campus by the minister. And so one of the things that I usually see is we read about all these jargons that you pointed out, some exciting things, robotics, and so how much of it is really happening in our industries. And today we have some very good examples of a company that's actually implemented a lot of these things. But we will also talk about some of the challenges. What I want to do before we get into those things is share with you some of the very, very interesting things, at least what I find very interesting that's happening in the space, right? One is advanced robotics, right? Traditionally, a robot just picks and places, right? So the infrastructure that you need to make sure that the robot can pick it up and place it is huge. So in a $48 billion global market, only $16 billion is for the robot. The rest of it is for making sure the thing is not tilted. If you want to screw a bolt, then you want to make sure the bolt is in the right place, the screw is in the right place, so this thing comes there and this does this, right? Whereas what we're seeing now is in advanced robotics, there is some intelligence, machine vision being given to the robot, right? So that's not so much more expensive than the original robot. But even if the screw is tilted, this can figure it out and fix it, right? So those are being developed by companies within India. And this could radically transform a lot of this. So out of the $48 billion, $32 billion is going for all the infrastructure. So if we actually perfect these advanced robots, then you could eliminate a lot of that and have more of these robots functioning more complex tasks. That's one example that I wanted to share. And yesterday I met a company based out of Bangalore actually introducing this with edge computing and with machine vision, small 28-year-old chap introducing it, and it's working in a manufacturing setup, right? So there are some exciting things that are happening. That's on the robotics front. Shiv Shankar mentioned IoT, industrial IoT, right? So even in a simple machine, they're not synchronized because they're not talking to each other. With the IoT, it's possible for you to synchronize and increase the operational efficiency very, very easily, right? And this is, I'm talking about a single line. But if you look at multiple lines, and if you look at companies that have smart factories, which are multiple factories across the globe talking to each other, you can actually bring up operational efficiency to a great extent. And this is one of the advantages of in warehouses and material handling, right? So the sensors getting into pallets, forklifts, making sure you know what the battery levels of that particular forklift is, and nothing stops, and you're able to continuously monitor it and make it efficient. Utilization efficiency goes up significantly in warehouses. I'm just touching on a few things which excites me, right? So I just thought, I'm sure the experts will talk about it in greater detail during the panel, but I thought I'll just share with you how exciting this is, because these were things we couldn't have done before. So now we had a session on healthcare some time ago. You can remotely monitor the ICU patient from a distance and really take care of them much better than a human being, right? So that the technologies have improved to that level. Unfortunately, we don't see that level of technology in the manufacturing processes today, and we want to get there. So that's the second one. The third one that I really am excited about is the prototyping, right? Can you use 3D printing to quickly, when people say fail fast, I'd like to believe it succeed fast, right? I mean, so no one's trying to fail fast, everyone's trying to succeed fast. So 2-3 times it doesn't work, fourth time you go ahead and do it. So those technologies are available now, and it's that's great to do, right? So these are some of the areas that are that could change the way manufacturing is being done right now. And I want to just touch upon a little bit that I've worked on in the past. So Vinod did mention that I was the CEO of Latent View Analytics. So we were working with global companies and we were helping them with predictive maintenance. So food major, global food major. And if the machine stops, then the loss is significant. And it does stop once in a while. And so we studied all the parameters around that particular failure. So it failed, let's say, 8 months ago. And then we look at what all happened, because now you have sensors that measure pressure, humidity, vibrations, everything is being measured. So we fed all this information into the system. And then we looked at multiple such events and all the data around it. And not using our human brain, but using the pattern recognition, we were able to predict if something was going to go wrong. So we immediately flagged it saying something is going to go wrong here. And the company was fixing it before it broke, right? The savings were millions of dollars. And this is nothing fancy. It's just that you anyway have sensors that's recording all the information. All you're doing is applying some machine learning AI to make sure that you're tracking what are the signs that you see before this failure happens. And then with that, you are able to predict it's going to happen, and then you give an early warning to the plant manager there, and they know what to do. If they know it's going to get a break, they know how to fix it, and they go ahead and fix it. Right? So these are, and we've seen this in the healthcare space too, when elderly people are about to fall, even a few hours, minutes, hours before they fall, just with the way they are getting up and they're walking, you can predict there's a likely event of fall, and we warn their children in the US. I mean, most of our clients were in the US, and my examples are more US based. So the children would be in some other city, the elderly people will be living alone in another city, but they would have just one device on them, and this would help. We immediately flag it up to the children, and children would call them and say, just sit tight, then we are going to get help, and so on. So the power of predictive maintenance is huge in a factory setting. And these are some of the exciting things that we see. The most exciting today is we have a panel of experts we've carefully chosen them from different areas, because I do know that it's one thing to always talk about 5G and some AI and all of those things, and you go back to your factory floor and say, when is this ever going to reach me, right? So we wanted to make sure that we have a wide range of people on the panel. And you feel free to jump in and ask the questions when we do that. With that, I will end my theme address. The only thing that I want to conclude with when I say is, this is probably the most exciting decade for us. I know the challenges that we face on a daily basis. We keep seeing the successes of these services companies and SaaS companies, and which is good, I'm not complaining, but we need to see successes of the manufacturing companies. We need to occupy at least 10% or 20% of the void that's being left in the global situation right now, and we have to step up to do that. And these new technologies might actually help us step up to do that. And that's my plea to this audience today. With that, I'll end this address. Thank you.
We could not have asked for a better platform than the 6th edition of the CXO Conclave with the theme Technology and Manufacturing Trends, Policies and Perspectives. Becoming the perfect platform for us to launch this book to highlight how over the last 25 years, from Sterlite Copper, we have leveraged on technology to upgrade the process while being sensitive to our corporate ethos of ESG standards. Without further ado, I would now request Mr. Mayur Karmakar, MD, International Copper Association, who have joined us today to launch this book, to come on stage. I would also like to invite Ms. Sumati, Chief Operating Officer, Sterlite Copper, to join us on the rise.
By the world's largest mining company called as Codelco from Chile. And in short word, without copper, definitely the industry 4.0 and 5.0 cannot happen. So the essentiality of copper is everybody's life and also on technology. Thank you very much. I don't take you a longer time. Thank you very much.